Hey, I'm Bruce Naylor. Welcome to another installment of the IT Shop. It's been a long time since I made one of these, but I've got a email from one of my viewers that prompted this video. So let me read this to you, and for the sake of their identity, we'll just refer to this viewer as TJ. And TJ writes, "Hey Bruce, I've been following you on your YouTube channel for months now, and I've been really loving the content you're putting out." Well, thank you, TJ. That's really nice of you. I'm in college right now for IT, and one of my classes is a business class. I got an assignment to interview someone who isn't a family member about their career and some business decisions that they had to make. If you don't care, could I please send you some questions? I said absolutely, and TJ did, and I thought, you know what? Rather than just typing this up and emailing it back to TJ, I thought I would share this with all my friends here on the channel that, are interested in the business side of technology as well. Now, these questions tend to deal about business and money, so let's get started. And the first question is, what were your major occupations throughout your life? And it was two things: consumer finance and then the IT business. And essentially, I was a mortgage banker for a number of years, and then I went and started a CRM business out in Phoenix, and that, of course, I had to go through Microsoft training and all that, but I really loved it. And the reason is because when I was in the mortgage industry, I was in at a time where the PC was just coming into its own, and the software that was available didn't really work for what I was doing, or was so doggone expensive that I decided to try to write my own software, make my own databases, and do all these things, my own networking using cable and BNC connectors. But that's what got me into IT, and I really, really loved it. And my first IT business, I was a partner with a company called Goldmine, which was a CRM system, and I just kind of took off from there. And ultimately, for the last 10 years, I've been selling network security products. The next question is, how often did you set aside a budget for yourself? Now, if I'm taking these questions in context, these are based more on starting a business and so forth. But as far as to answer your question, I have a budget each and every month and an annual budget. And that's something you never stop doing, because it's great to know where you're at, where you're tracking to your goals, and where you really are. And you can identify trends financially a lot earlier if you're keeping to a budget. Helps you keep a handle on your spending and help you achieve reaching your goals or see where you're falling short. The next question is, did you or your spouse manage income more, and how did you two discuss income? Well, actually, I'd already started my business when I married my wife and asked her to join me. And when I did, I made her a full partner, because that's the way I believe marriage worked, a 50-50 partnership. And she was rather new to some of the concepts, but given a little time and training to understand the documentation she was seeing, she worked with me, and she looked through the financial reports, and we met at least once a week in my office or in her office, and we would go over the numbers, and she would see how profitable we were or were we losing money. And so we always worked together on that. The same thing with the budget, because we both sat down goals and what we needed to do to obtain those goals. And so we always worked together, but we did it in private with each other, and we shared information with one another. The next question is, do you have any regrets in how you manage money? Oh, absolutely. When I had my first company and it became somewhat successful and I was making a relatively large amount of money, I went a little crazy and bought a bunch of stuff that I shouldn't have. And I think a lot of people do that. In hindsight, I wish I would have spent that money on experiences rather than things, because I really don't remember a lot of the stuff I bought, but I'll always remember the great vacations and time me and my wife and family and friends have had together. Experiences rate higher than things, in my humble opinion. But certainly I mismanaged money, and that was where you learn one day the party stops, and you better have a rainy day fund. And if you blow it all on a bunch of stuff, then you're going to be hurting. So hopefully that answers your question. And finally, what piece of advice could you give a student like myself trying to start a business and manage money? Well, starting to start a business and managing money goes hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. They work in lockstep. And the first piece of advice, starting any business, to make sure you have a great accountant helping you get through all the various forms and legalities right up front. figuring out whether you're going to incorporate or whatever the plans be. Getting yourself structured in the right way from the very beginning. Understand how to deal with things like taxes and payroll and all those sorts of issues. As far as the managing the money, I've always used the Intuit QuickBooks or Quicken, whatever, some type of accounting program for your computer, and get to really learn your numbers. This is a problem a lot of entrepreneurs have. They don't really know their numbers as well as they think they do. For example, ask an entrepreneur or a business owner, what is your customer acquisition cost? And many of them will look at you like a deer caught in the headlights, like, no, you need to know to the penny what it costs you to acquire a new customer. What are your margins exactly? How much to the penny does it cost you to produce that hamburger or to, do whatever product that you're doing or service? You need to know to the penny what it costs. And if you know your numbers and you have a budget set up and you have your goals and your milestones and you're working with a great accountant, then the rest of it should come easy. But cash flow is king in any business. So that is your number one priority, to make sure that your receivables are paid on or before that they're due and that your payables and vendors are paid promptly. And that way you can get a good night's sleep and not worry so much about the money of it. But the two are lockstep, and you'll have to be a budgetary hawk. A few other mistakes startup entrepreneurs make is they spend lavishly on things that they shouldn't, such as office space, furniture, business cards, all these things that really aren't as necessary today as maybe they were at one time. Look, invest your money, what money you have, on making the best product and the best service and getting it out there to the public the most effective way you can. And don't go crazy on spending a lot of money up front. Make each dime do $1 worth of work. And that's about the best advice I can think of. But I'd like to hear your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. And TJ, thank you for the questions. Talk to you later.